Gourmet Guitars, the best luthiers DVD series. From guitar enthusiasts for guitar enthusiasts.
First off, and this is true with almost all 50s Les Pauls, not just the bursts. Any of the feature changes from one style to the next did not happen at January 1. So if there is a feature on a 58, it may very well have changed in the first few months of 59. So there is not a 58 Les Paul which is different than a 59 Les Paul, which is different than a 60 Les Paul. These changes that happened progressed throughout the life of this model. And the biggest year where there's many changes was 1960. In 1958, when they went from the gold finish to create the sunburst the first time, while all other features were the same, they used a two-piece center seam. Well, let me grab the 58, that'd be more appropriate. They use two pieces of maple with the seam of the wood down the center. Before, being underneath gold finish, they did not care how the wood was seamed. It could be two pieces with a seam off center, three pieces, it didn't matter, gold paint covered it. That was the first change they did. Early in 1959, they changed the size of the fret wire. And this was categorically across the Gibson line of guitars for virtually all models, not just Les Pauls. They started using a different size wire that is larger fret wire. That's the first change that we really notice that seems to make a difference in playing. And I'll say this, throughout all this time period, the shapes of the necks are different. Not all 58s are big, not all 59s are one size, not all 60s are one size, and that is a misconception that is carried way too far in the world today, especially amongst collectors, that 58s were large necks, 59s were perfect round necks, and then 60s were slim necks. It's nowhere near that simple. You can find a big 59, you can even find a big 60, but a lot of 58s are normal size. Other things that changed in 59 were things that were not normally seen. These pickups came with a nickel cover, and with the nickel cover removed, the coils were exposed. Originally, these coils were black, but for some reason, the manufacturer providing these plastic covers to these coils provided white. They ran out of black, or who knows, for whatever reason, they provided white. And you see some where one coil is white, and you see some where two coils are white. The nickel cover would cover that, and it would be almost impossible to tell what color the coils were without looking inside somehow. Somewhere along the lines, it became popular to take the covers off and show those coils, and when people discovered there were white or cream coils or half and half, which we call zebra, they thought that was special, and they made a big point out of it, and now those versions of those pickups are worth more money, even though they are the same pickups. That was a change that happened in 59. By 1960, a lot of things started changing. Okay, while this is a late 1960, the very first ones they made in 1960 were exactly like the last ones they made in 1959. They had all the same features. One of the first things they started to change in 1960 was the red finish that they put on the guitars. Because the red finish would fade away from ultraviolet light, they came out with a new red color that was not so easy to fade away. That red changed in the middle of the year, and at roughly the same time, and some of these features overlap. You can find an earlier number with this red and a slightly later number with a fading red. That feature overlapped by serial number. But at about the same time, they made the neck slimmer in this dimension, the depth of the neck. And that started happening to almost all standard Gibson guitars, not just the Les Paul. This was roughly in the middle of the year somewhere, so many 1960 Les Pauls do not have this thin neck. Other features that changed that became very noticeable were in late 1960, they got these knobs with the reflector tops on them, and I have replaced the keys on this guitar, but at the very end of the run of 1960, this keystone-shaped button has one little round ring after it, and in late 1960 they started making these with two little round rings. These are little nuances, but to collectors they are signals of what time period the guitar is from, assuming the parts are original. So those are some of the more common changes. The sound, feel, and playability of these guitars was virtually the same.
Gourmet Guitars, the Best Luthiers DVD series. From guitar enthusiasts for guitar enthusiasts.